вже 105-ї, до речі, доби повномасштабної війни, залишається епіцентром.
Is Putin starting to throw all of his prisoners on the front line of this war, with things tensing up in multiple countries now, and the gas crisis, the natural gas crisis, getting worse and worse by the day in European countries? Is it planned to get worse? Much worse, to the point of desperation where you have to put your prisoners on the front line of your war? That's right, prisoners. Prison sentences being annulled, payments being offered to prisoners to go fight the front line, and up to 70,000 going to prisoners' families. This is new, interesting information coming right up. Welcome back to all the subs. Love your guys' comments. I read through as many as I possibly can. And if you're brand new here and like up-to-date information that affects you and how-to videos with preparation, survival, prepping, be sure to hit that notification bell so you guys stay up to date. Let's jump into this one. So when I saw this headline, I had to get it out to you because I thought it was super interesting. The fact that Russia is going to bribe their inmates, bribe their prisoners to go fight on the front lines of the war. Now, I did a video the other day about NATO putting 300,000 troops in readiness for this possible war they're talking about. Now, a question that comes up to me is, we know Russia is a strong country, and I can't imagine that him falling short a little bit on the Ukraine, how the media is saying, is really what's going on. But the fact that he needs to take a bunch of people and throw them on the front lines, is he starting to prepare for more of a widespread attack? Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not thinking that this is only Russia. China and Russia are hand in hand, but China is a whole other video. So here in a minute, I'm going to give you the bribe amounts and the annulments that were offered if they went and fought the front lines and came back alive in 6 months. Private military company Wagner, seen as working hand in glove with Vladimir Putin's armed forces and with close Kremlin links, is reported to be behind the recruitment drive at prisons. Daily Mail reports inmates in St. Petersburg jails are told they will hunt down Nazis on the front line as Putin turns to desperate measures to try and turn the tide in his war in Ukraine. At first, the recruitment drive was only for those with previous military service, but now it seems that it is open to all convicts, though not those serving 20 years or more for the most heinous crimes. Again, private military company Wagner is reported to be behind the recruitment drive. They also report, if true, the reports indicate the desperation of Russia to mobilize from unexpected quarters, an indication that more conventional recruitment bids are failing, with commanders worried about manpower shortages. A relative of one of the convicts said a so-called inspector came to Yablonevka on Friday. They talked to convicts and asked them to defend the motherland. My relative was told this, quote, "It is very hard to find Nazis. They are prepared very well. You will be in vanguard. Help find the Nazis. This is why not everyone will return." It was claimed that inmates would be sent to war without passports or identification tokens. Another source, Vladimir Osechkin, exiled founder, human rights group Gulagu.net, said that the FSB officers were currently recruiting volunteers to Donbass among prisoners in Yablonevka. Convicts are openly told that they will have neither documents nor a badge, and their bodies will not be given to their relatives in the event they are killed, he said. Those that agree to fighting are taken away almost immediately. It says here that prisoners' families are horrified by what's happening, said Gulag.net. Many have wives and children. Convicts who have agreed to leave talk like they're zombies with their relatives. In this picture right here, Russia is recruiting prisoners to fight in Ukraine, with the promise of a big payday and sentences being annulled if they come back alive in 6 months. Now, I read in the comments on another video that we had, somebody had mentioned that the Biden administration was approaching prisoners and offering reduced sentences if they enlisted into the army. And in that same comment, they also listed that the GPA and requirements to enlist had been lowered to a lower level as well. If you guys know anything about that, please leave me some details down in the comments below. I tried to look into that one and nothing came up quickly. So I'm not totally sure on the truths to that claim. But if it is true, it's very weird that Vladimir Putin and the Biden administration would be doing kind of the same thing. Okay, so how much is Putin and Russia offering their inmates to go to war, to go to the front lines for 6 months and possibly not come back? Well, in this Newsweek report, it states, Russia is promising to annul the sentences of criminals and pay them $3,000 if they come back alive after 6 months of fighting in Ukraine, sources have said, which is about 200,000 rubles. And of course, amnesty too. And they also say that if they die in battle, they promise to pay their families 5 million rubles, which is about 70,000. But so far, this is all words and nothing is getting recorded anywhere. Now, if you're like me, you're just looking at this whole thing like, wow, throwing prisoners, inmates on the front lines of war. Who knows where they're even gonna go? There's no paperwork, there's no badges, there's no identification. If this is all true, there's just nothing good about it. So then you might ask, how is this gonna affect us? Well, let's say that Russia is spreading their wings, being prepared for much bigger thing. And not to mention China as well, because that's another big issue. But we've obviously invested into Ukraine for whatever reasons. Personally, I think that they're kind of corrupt reasons. But nonetheless, we are invested as a country. NATO is starting to invest, which is making it a much bigger problem. The more America has to fight, the more NATO has to fight, the more expensive everything's gonna get. We're already committed to paying them millions and billions of dollars. And it's not just us, it's all the other countries, all the other NATO countries, Canada, and all of them are having to put in, which is driving all of our inflation up and up and up. Not to mention the fuel shortages and the natural gas shortages that Europe's facing. And watch this, this is gonna turn into a really big deal. So what you all need to be doing is thinking ahead, preparing for power outages, preparing for shortages, and preparing for inflation much worse. You need to be investing in a pressure canner, a dehydrator, a freeze dryer to preserve food long term. If you don't start stocking away food now, there's gonna be a day that you wish you had. And with the power outages, they're expecting a lot of power outages this year and going into winter especially. So you need to have ways to stay warm. You need to have ways to turn on the lights. You guys need to have backup generators like this solar Jackery 1500. This one comes with 2 big 100-watt panels and they're huge and they work great. This one's all dirty because I've had it out in the rain testing this thing. But the idea is to be ready. We had a power outage just a few weeks ago and we had just bought in all of our chicks. We had 25 to 30 chicks under a hot light and we lost power at about 11 p.m., 2300. It was dark, I was tired. It came to me that we had brand new chicks under a light and they have to stay warm. So I went and grabbed this guy right here, hooked up a heat lamp to it, and I was good the rest of the night. If you guys would like me to do a review video on this thing, let me know in the comments below. And remember, keep learning, keep prepping, and keep doing. Every day, it's getting more and more important to do so. We'll see you guys on the next one.